Hey, welcome back to my zero carb life. So this morning I went on Instagram, said, what should I discuss today? What should I talk about? Do you have any questions? They did. I wrote them down. Let's do this. The first question was from Bernie. Bernie asked, should I eat a lean carnivore diet or high-fat carnivore diet if I'm not losing weight? So I have known plenty of people to get amazing weight loss results on a carnivore diet by simply eating intuitively. So they wouldn't even be able to tell you. They're not tracking. Am I eating lean? Am I eating high fat? If you were to ask them, you would and write down their food, then you may find, wow, this person is losing weight, eating close to 80% calories from fat. I had a lady this week say that she was purposefully now doing that. She has had amazing results. She's down 24 pounds. I've never felt so good. She's definitely postmenopausal. It's working for her. I've had other people say, I started eating high-fat carnivore and I started gaining. Okay, so I think most people will end up at about a 70-30 carnivore diet. Let's just really quickly, I'm going to screen share to talk through what does high fat versus lean carnivore, what does that even mean? So let's first talk about what does it mean to be a high fat carnivore. Most people would say that means you're getting 80-ish% of your calories from fat. Like, wow, that's a high fat carnivore. 80% from fat. So the yellow part of the pie chart, if you're on Carb Manager or a tracking app, the fat part, 80%. The rest is from protein as a carnivore. Obviously, if you're not a carnivore, you're going to be getting some from carbs as well. Not me. This would be the equivalent. This is the exact macros and screenshot of what you get if you eat 2 quarter-pound burger patties. So if you went to McDonald's or Wendy's and got 2 quarter-pound patties, just the patties, or you went to your freezer and pulled out 2 frozen quarter-pounders, put them in the air fryer, and you ate that with 3 tablespoons of butter, that would be 745 calories. And some people would say, oh, you can't do high fat because it's low on protein. Well, if you take a look at this chart, you're still getting 36 grams of protein. If you were to do that 2 or 3 times per day, depending on how many calories or how much fuel your body needs based on your gender, age, size, and activity level, then this is not necessarily low protein. If you did that 3 times a day, you're getting a big amount of protein per day, even though, yes, you are doing a high-fat carnivore diet. Now, in Carb Manager, they consider standard carnivore to be 75% calories from fat. I don't know how they established that, but if you go into Carb Manager, it says standard carnivore, 75-25. If you say so, right? That would be the equivalent of the same amount of burger patties. 2 quarter-pound beef patties, but instead of adding the 3 tablespoons of butter, you just add 1.5. So obviously that is going to be fewer calories, the same amount of protein because we didn't change the burger patties. There's no protein in the butter, it's just fat. And then you would have 75-25. That works beautifully for a lot of people. Many carnivores end up doing 70-30, 70% calories from fat. This is what Dr. Chafee or many others, Judy Cho, would call like a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning you're getting almost the exact grams of protein as you are grams of fat, is 70-30. The reason so many people end up doing that is that's approximately what burger patties are. A ribeye, if you were to eat eggs, ribeye, burger patties, a little bit butter, not a lot, a little, then you're going to end up at about a 70-30 ratio. Okay, there are some carnivores who do well at a leaner ratio, which is 60-40 is about as low as I recommend people go, unless you're going to throw in a lean day here or there. But on a day-to-day basis, 60% calories from fat is about as low as I would recommend. And some people would say, oh, if you're doing high protein, then that means you're low on fat. Well, in a meal here, you're still getting 37 grams of fat. I would not consider that a low-fat diet. But there are some people where if they go as low as 60 or any lower on their fat, they will get very constipated, depressed, sad, insatiably hungry. They can't sleep. Their period stops. So to answer the question, which one works better for fat loss? You really can't know until you experiment a little bit. What I encourage people in my groups to do is, in general, just stay between 60 and 80% on your fat. Take note. When do you feel the best? When do you get your best results? When you're closer to the 60 70, 80. And then you can throw in an occasional day if you want to do an all day, all fat day called a fat fast. See what that does for your body. For some people, it may cause explosive diarrhea. For other people, they love it so much that they do it every single week. Some people do it twice a week because they say, I feel so energized with all of the fat and I lose weight. It's a stall breaker. Other people find that they actually get better results if they throw in a lean day or a pure protein day, or what the Emmerichs might call a PSMF day, protein sparing modified fast. Just lean meats for a day could help you to break a stall here or there. The real answer is you got to experiment a little bit to find out. But I wouldn't do fat fasting every single day of my life or lean days every single day of my life, because we really do need both protein and fat. If you are not losing weight, then I would encourage you, more than just focusing on the macros, to look at your overall deficit. So have you ever been able recently to maintain your weight at maintenance level of calories? Talked about it in a video with Katie Kelly recently. I will link to it below. If so, then give yourself a 10 to 20% deficit off of that for a while. The scale will start to go down. If you don't want to change your calories, increase your movement, take some walks. That will help as well. Stay more consistent. So if you're going off plan on weekends or having alcohol, become more consistent with just meat, eggs, maybe a little dairy. Cutting out dairy tends to help with the weight loss, and no alcohol, not even on the weekends. It's not going to help with weight loss. And it will always help with weight loss if your body is just in a place of healing. So working on sleep, dealing with stress. That's where I would start for weight loss, instead of trying to obsess over, should I be at 75% from fat or 80%? That has more to do with, how do you feel? How does the food taste to you? Not just, are you going to lose weight? Next question. Carrie Ann asked if carnivore helps with IBS. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's one of the number one things that people tell me they love about carnivore is their digestive issues get so much better. The World Journal of Gastroenterology studied removing fiber from the diet and how it improves. But this one study looked at 63 people with idiopathic constipation and IBS issues, and it studied them for 2 years. And the improvements, I'll link to that study below. When they reduced, and then cut out fiber, people, their results were far better. And yet, what do most people recommend for constipation? More fiber, more fiber. That's crazy. Most of us find when we cut out the fiber completely, we feel a million times better. Okay, this kind of goes along, though, with Lola's question. She said, what if someone does experience constipation as a carnivore? All right, so I just wrote out some of the most common advice. Add more fat, especially liquid, warm liquid fat. So if you cook up a bunch of fatty ground beef, you've got that liquid fat in the bottom of the skillet. Take a couple tablespoons of that, almost like medicine. Stay near a bathroom. Enjoy. But also chewing very thoroughly is pretty common advice. Chew your food really thoroughly. Drink more water throughout the day, but less water with your meals, so you have your gastric acids and juices to help break down your food. Some people suggest using a little apple cider vinegar, about a tablespoon, in your water once a day. Taking a walk after meals. Those things can all help with constipation. Here are a few less traditional things that I have seen help people with constipation as a carnivore. Lymphatic massage. My group members and I, most every month, we do a lymphatic massage together. Oh yeah, I've talked about it on this channel at least once. It was in a video with my husband James where he was like, did you really just say you rub groins together with fellow carnivores? Yes. Just a little groin rubbing amongst carnivore friends. Nothing dirty about it. It's actually really helpful when it comes to detoxing and getting things moving. Another thing that can be really helpful for constipation is castor oil on the belly. This is just something that I'll tell you, I have tried for myself and I've heard other people say it. I cannot tell you what to do with your castor oil. But I don't drink it. I just rub it on my belly, and castor oil for many years has been used, even amongst midwives and doulas, to get things, again, moving. Whether that's a baby or your food baby, I guess, move it out. So some people even put it down in their belly button. Some people use it as a liver detox on right underneath their right rib cage, but all over the abdomen. Be careful, it'll stain your clothes. You can cover it with an old t-shirt or something called a castor oil pack, but I'll link to that below. I've heard Dr. Boz say that in the beginning, if somebody is having constipation issues, that they could sit in an Epsom salt bath, which is magnesium. Epsom salt is magnesium, or they can use magnesium citrate or even a little milk of magnesia in the beginning to get things moving. But in general, once you have adapted to eating this way and your stomach acid has adjusted and your magnesium has naturally started to rise again, it will rise again, then most people don't have to do anything except eat meat and go to the bathroom as needed. You will probably not go as often as you used to, although some of us carnivores still go quite regularly. Others say they don't go as often because there's just not as much fiber and junk to get rid of. All right, Holly wants to know, what are some work meal options that you can take to work when you're limited when it comes to heating up food? I do not like reheated meat myself. I love burger patties. I don't like them heated in the microwave. So when I was working as a school teacher, I would cook my burger patties ahead of time. They would be cold and in the fridge. I like mine still some pink on the burger patties. And then I would pack them the next day in a glass container, take them to school. I would not reheat them. I would just let them sit and get room temperature, and then I would eat them for lunch. If you're okay with reheated meat, you can do that. I love cold steak, chopped up steak bites, sort of like fajita meat strips of steak, just eaten cold. My friend Linda puts like steak and picks it up and calls it a handwich. It's literally steak that you just pick up. I called my burger patties meat cookies. I think they're delicious at room temp or cold. But if you do not prefer your meat that way, they do make lunch boxes that you can actually charge up and it will keep them warm. It's like a warming lunchbox. If you're allowed to have an air fryer at work, I mean, jackpot. I would just take my burger patties if you only like meat fresh cooked. And you do have an air fryer at work, or you could ask to put one in the break room. It only takes 8 minutes to go from frozen to cooked. Well, you've got to preheat it, so add another couple minutes to that. And I do that all day, every day. Frozen patties, turn the air fryer on, get it to 400 degrees, season them. I put in 4 frozen patties. When it says beep, turn food, I flip them over, season the other side, beep, food is done. At the 8-minute mark, I pull them out and eat them. If you are not lucky enough to have an air fryer around at lunch, you could also look into things like, I don't know, chicken salad made with real chicken. I wouldn't go and buy store-bought. They put a lot of corn syrup solids and junk into chicken salad. But you can make your own. There are lots of great recipes out there. You can even make the mayonnaise. I would not suggest using junky seed oil mayonnaise. I know I'm from the South, so we shouldn't speak ill of the Dukes, but soybean oil, can't do it. So our house has switched over to Primal Kitchen avocado oil mayonnaise. The kids love chicken salad or tuna salad or egg salad. You could take bacon, chicken wings. This actually reminds me of a question. Somebody asked about kid lunches. What can kids take? So maybe this goes together. My kids take a lot of pepperoni and deli meat rolled up with cheese. They take gluten-free chicken nuggets. You can buy some pretty decent gluten-free chicken nuggets out there, or you can just buy chicken tenders and you just dip them in egg yolks. Or I think you could probably even do it with dip it in cream, but we prefer egg yolks. Roll it around in pork crumbs like this. That is just pure pork crumbs without any seed oils. Roll it around in there, stick it in an air fryer, 400 degrees, 10 minutes. You get crispy chicken tenders. We do a lot of egg muffins. There are some brands at the store that are pretty good. You can also make your own egg muffins. I'll put a recipe down below. Hot dogs, burger patties, Epic meat bars. My kids love Epic meat bars. I'll eat them occasionally too. Cheese cubes, boxed bacon. It's pre-cooked bacon, or you could just cook it ahead of time. Baked cheese crisps. And my kids also they do eat a little fruit. I don't, but they do. So they love to take some berries or apple slices. Okay, Carissa asks, why did I say on Instagram that you should walk starting 1 hour after a meal? So what I actually said was, in studies, when they study the effectiveness of taking a walk after meals, if you start your meal at, say, 5 p.m., you want to be walking before 6 p.m. Why? Because that's around the time, the 1 hour mark is when you have your highest blood sugar spike after a meal. If you are trying to do it for weight loss and glucose control, you don't want to wait till 2 hours after the meal. Hopefully your blood sugar is already back to normal. And if you're eating only meat, you're not going to have massive blood sugar swings anyway. But walking shortly after a meal is great for digestion. It is great for mitigating any glucose response. And for a type 2 diabetic, no matter what they eat, they are likely going to have some blood sugar response. The least response with fat, then a little response with lean protein, the most response, of course, with carbs. So taking a walk even after a meal of meat is going to help mitigate that, if you do it by the 1 hour mark. Walking after a meal is also great for your mood. It's great for your relationships. If you take somebody with you, it's going to help you likely to sleep better. There's so many reasons to take the walk, but that's why I said before the 1 hour mark, if you are really trying to work on glucose. And in the long run, if you're working on your glucose, you're also working on your fasting insulin, and lowering that number is going to be a win. Adam asked, what do you eat on a daily basis? I eat a lot of burger patties, homemade egg wraps, store-bought egg life wraps. So I use the store-bought wraps for my burger patties. I take the burger patties, I chop them into like 3 hunks, put it inside, roll it up like a little burger burrito. I handle Tabasco well. I know. Is that sacrilege? Tabasco is vinegar, red pepper, and salt. That is it. 3 ingredients. And at this stage of my carnivore journey, I do perfectly great adding Tabasco. If you do not like Tabasco or it makes you feel bad, I would simply not put it on your burger wrap. There will be some people who can't do the egg life wraps because they have a sensitivity to egg whites. But again, that's not me. So I eat that a lot. I also make some homemade egg wraps, which I can use with heavy cream. I just whip heavy cream. I will link to that recipe as well. Oh, I've got a lot of links to add today. I do eat a lot of sardines, at least twice a week. I have fish. And other than those 5, that is, these days, almost all that I eat on repeat. Those 5 things, mostly burger patties. But then for dinner, if my family is having pork chops, I'll also have either some pork chops or chicken wings, London broil, a plank of salmon. So I'll have some of whatever meat they are having. And then my husband will have whatever meat we are having, mostly meat, but he'll also have his silly little side salad because he still likes salads. We have cut back on the spinach, thanks to Sally Norton, mostly iceberg lettuce for him, none for me. And then he and the kids may also have like a sweet potato on the side or some other vegetable if they want it. I never, ever make my kids eat their vegetables. I could care less if they eat them. But if they want some on the side, I don't really mind. It would not do my digestion any favors at all. I've been there, tried that. I feel better without it. So I don't ever touch the vegetables, but I don't mind if they do because it's not giving them issues. All right, next question. Kim asked, is it normal to have major exhaustion and depression to feel worse in the first few weeks of carnivore? So yes, I'm going to do a screen share. Okay, if you're a group member, please open your handbook. Turn in your handbook to frequently asked question. And we're going to scroll to frequently asked question number 7. Why do I feel worse starting carnivore, and when am I going to feel better? So if somebody cuts out processed foods, they think they're going to feel better just right away. That is sometimes the case. I've known people where on day 3, my joints feel better. My good friend Karen Miles, that was her. Day 3, her joints felt much better. She was sleeping better. And, now it's 4, 5 years later. I think she's in her 5th year of carnivore. She's just feeling better and better. Awesome. That is not how it always goes, though, especially if somebody was eating a ton of plants right before they started. They were not eating a lot of meat. Whew! It can be a difficult transition. So let's talk about some of the reasons why. and what can help. Very often people will feel worse before they start to feel better. Sometimes that is because their electrolytes are just out of balance. So when we first get into ketosis, Dr. Annette Bosworth says that our magnesium levels will just drop. She's seen it happen over and over and over. It's really common. And this is why LMNT, can help people feel perked up in the beginning. But Dr. Boz says that even if you don't take Element or you don't take electrolytes, most people, their magnesium will start to normalize. So that's why many of us, longtime carnivores, we're not taking electrolytes. We no longer need to. In fact, we didn't in the beginning because I didn't even know that was a thing. But if you're feeling bad in the beginning, it could be electrolytes. You could use a little extra salt. You could try sitting in an Epsom bath. You could take electrolyte powders. When I say here to see question number 4 of this section, if you have the handbook, then you would just scroll up to number 4. But I'll tell you that when it comes to electrolytes, Element is very high in magnesium, which works great in the beginning and works great for some people forever. It would not for me, because for me, my magnesium levels tend to be up here and my potassium's just a little lower. So if you throw a whole bunch more magnesium at it, I actually feel worse. So for me, I'm better with none. Or if I'm working out and sweating really hard, there's something called snake juice powder. No snakes, no juice, but it is a powder. It's just an electrolyte powder. I'll link to it below. It is a better balance for a lot of people. Same for 40,000 volts. So you may need some electrolytes in the beginning. Sometimes people feel worse simply because they're detoxing some of the junk that they've had in their body for many years. And they might just feel like off for a little while. Sometimes it's oxalate dumping. I have done a video with Sally Norton about if somebody consumed a lot of fruits and vegetables, especially almonds and spinach, and then they cut it out suddenly, done with all that, I'm going carnivore. Woo! They can start dumping that from their tissues and start to feel really bad for a while. So if you were on a very plant-heavy diet, it would probably be a good thing to drop the plants slowly instead of all at once. But if you do start having oxalate dumping issues, then I would try sipping on some unsweetened strong black tea. She says you can use really bougie nice tea or go and buy some Lipton or Louisiana tea bags. Just brew it really strong, sip on it, and see if that makes you feel a little bit better. Kim in the question mentioned, is it normal to feel very depressed? So as the oxalates are coming out of tissues, oxalate dumping can also affect people mentally, Sally said. So try the tea trick. It can also be, I didn't put this in this section, but in one of my last videos, I talked about certain foods, sugar, processed foods, can give us a real dopamine high. And then you cut them out and you don't just go back to your baseline level of dopamine, you go into the trough. You may be experiencing that as well. And it takes about 30 days for that to normalize. And if you do something really hard, it can bump you up quickly, get lots of sun, sleep, good meat and nutrition, and movement. Those 4 things can help with get you back to a healthier level of dopamine. But yes, that being in the trough of dopamine before you've come back up to your baseline can cause you to feel just sad. You could also be experiencing fatigue and low energy due to just overall not eating enough or not getting enough fat in your diet. So on a carnivore diet, there are only 3 macros in the world. We've already cut out carbs. So that leaves us with fat and protein. Protein is not a great energy source. Really lean protein does not make a person feel like, wow, I'm so energized. You're going to need fat for that. So if somebody is eating way too lean, yep, way below 60% calories from fat, they will sometimes feel exhausted. So I would try for a little while, see if it helps to have more like ribeye or a little pork belly, some burger patties. You don't necessarily need to eat sticks of butter, but add a little butter if you're eating lean meats. See if it helps. And it could be that you're feeling bad in the beginning because you're just not used to digesting large amounts of meat. You don't have the stomach acid to do so. We talked a little bit about digestion, but if you are having digestive issues, that can also make a person feel just tired, really like heavy and lethargic after a meal. If they're eating a meal that's so huge they can't digest it properly, you might want to break it down into smaller meals. Another question somebody asked, I didn't even write this one down, but somebody did say, should we do OMAD, 2MAD, or 3 meals a day? I do eat 3 times every day. It does work better for my digestion. My energy is so much more even throughout the day. I thought that bumping up from 2 meals to 3 meals a day, I may gain weight. I did not, actually. In fact, many people find the opposite to be true. If they wake up and they do eat breakfast around sunrise, and if you do want to do some intermittent fasting, I would just stop eating your dinner a little earlier. Give yourself that, say, 3 hours before bed and see if that helps. So you would still have an eating window, but I eat 3 full-blown meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, and it just works best for me. Okay, that was kind of a random hodgepodge of questions, but hopefully something there was helpful. Thank you, Instagram, and to the people who submitted them. And I will link to apparently a whole lot of things below. If you need more support, or you want the handbook, you want the TDEE, which I designed to help people figure out how much meat to eat. You want the burger patty math pages and some of the extra resources, or you just need some friends to come alongside of you on this journey, or coach, some accountability, some daily inspiration, and live chats with people who are on similar paths. Join me. I'd love to see you in the groups. I'll link to that also. All right. Have a great day, you guys. Bye.